Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all three past performance formats. Go to DRF.com and use coupon code ONEFREEPP for a free single card today.
Last of a string of 4 graded stakes races on Saturday at Belmont at the Big A is the Grade 1 Champagne. What's so exciting about this race, David, is thinking about the future, right? It's not only a Grade 1 $500,000 up for grabs, but when you have 2-year-olds, you're always thinking about the 3-year-old season and what could be and the possibilities of horses running in the Kentucky Derby. Let's take a look at the field for this one. I mean, in the 2023 Champagne, Fierceness ran in there, was an also-ran. Didn't fire that day, but we know he had great success at the end of his 2-year-old season and at his 3-year-old season. For all of you out there that are watching, if you can subscribe to the video below, that will help us out quite a bit. What'd you think about the field signed on for this one, David?
You don't necessarily think of the Grade 1 Champagne as one of these races on the NYRA circuit that Chad Brown dominates. Typically, you're thinking of stakes races on the turf for older females just falling into that category. But Chad has won 4 of the last 8 Champagnes, and he could go 5 for 9 here with Chancellor McPatrick as the likely heavy favorite, drawn in the far outside post position. A visually impressive winner on debut and got the job done against a tough rival, Ferocious, last time in the Grade 1 hopeful.
And what's interesting about Chancellor McPatrick, as we shift on over to the Timeform US pace projector, is he's a deep closer. In his 2 races, he has not shown any early speed at all. That's very unique for horses at this time of their careers. Usually horses at 2 that are very good are the really fast horses that just run away and hide and they can work out their own trips. It's been impressive to see him have to come from way, way out of it. He's not even on the projector on the page early on. He's a deep closer.
Yeah, there is no number 10 Chiclet, as you say. You have to read the fine print there. He does have the highest Timeform US late pace rating, as that LP in parentheses would indicate. No surprise there. He really is a strong finisher, but he does have no early speed whatsoever, and we saw it last time too in the hopeful, where he didn't break so slow. I mean, he kind of hit the gate at the start, but just was slow into stride thereafter, and took him a while to find his best style, but he was really finishing in the late stages. We'll see if that works for him in this Champagne, switching to Aqueduct, because watching a lot of races at Aqueduct recently, you don't necessarily want to be coming from way back in the pack. Haven't seen a whole lot of horses have success using that style. We'll see if Chancellor Patrick can overcome that.
Well, let's take a look at this field. Let's go horse by horse in here. Gino Buccola, David Aragona alongside. JJ Zozo is the number 1. Fast from the rail, was able to clear off last time out, winning the Smoke Lackin on September 7th over at Monmouth Park. And what was nice about that is he moved up from, the state bred competition against New Jersey breds and was able to face open company, get the job done. Now we'll have to step up one more time, right? Get the acid test and have to deal with some other pace in here.
Yeah, I love a New Jersey bred by a regional sire, Sea Wizard, and he'll be stepping up against some tougher company. I think we saw Sea Streak, another Sea Wizard, do that in some races this year as a 3-year-old. JJ Zozo, he has run some reasonably competitive speed figures the last couple of times, but I'm not so convinced that the extra distance is going to work for this horse, and he is stepping way up in class with other speed drawn to his outside.
Tip Top Thomas was a very impressive debut winner on August the 24th over at Saratoga. He was very fast. It was battling with the rival race card, and he was in the 2-path to the outside. I thought it was very impressive. I think I said race card, rookie card, who was the other runner up that day. And rookie card came back to finish second next time out against Maiden Special Weights with an 81 buyer. So while the horse didn't come back and win, I think it showed us that this was a pretty strong effort and a pretty nice rival who he was able to get by here, David.
And the 4th place finisher from this race, a well-thought-of runner for Godolphin, came back at its next start and just barely lost a 1-mile race with an 89 buyer, improving his speed figure significantly. So this might have been a solid race that Tip Top Thomas is coming out of. And, initially, Gino, I was looking at the running line, seeing all the speed in this race and him likely to go forward from the inside, and I wanted to be against this horse. But going back to watch that replay, he showed a lot of tenacity battling back between horses. And yeah, there's a little more sprint in his pedigree. His dam has produced great attempt. It was a stakes winning sprinter, but Todd Pletcher's had success in the Champagne many years over with horses like this. So I don't want to be too dismissive of Tip Top Thomas.
Lethal Speed was an impressive debut winner down at Gulfstream Park, was outrun early, was about 7 lengths off of it, was 7th, and made a big, wide, sweeping move. It was out in the 5 or 6 path late and ended up getting geared down. So visually very impressive. When you're looking at the speed figure, though, not quite in the range with most of these. So we'll have to see him improve quite a bit. That happens though with these young horses. Sometimes the speed figures are just a little lesser, and we see they're a little bit tougher to gauge sometimes too when there's not as much of a body of work. Do you think Lethal Speed has a shot against this group?
Yeah, I guess you can project some upside based on the debut trip, but he would have to improve a lot to beat a field like this. And also, watching the debut race, I didn't necessarily get the sense that this is a horse that is ultimately going to develop into a dirt router. He looked a little bit more like a closing sprinter to me. So I'd be mildly surprised if he were able to improve enough to be competitive with this group.
Undefeated New York bred Mo Plex is the number 4 grade 3 winner also. So while he has a New York bred stakes win, he also won the grade 3 Sanford. Most recently, he stumbled last out. He got caught a little bit wide. He was a little flat footed. He looked beat in that final furlong or so. And I think he just sort of wore the other rival down. So that was probably on class. And that seemed like a race that he shouldn't have won where things went all against him. Can he step up and compete with tougher grade 1 competition here?
He was very wide last time. I don't think the stumble really affected him too much because he got right into position after that, and it didn't seem to really take away from his forward position at all. And he was able to gut it out. This is a much tougher field than the New York breds that he faced last time. He's a horse who has drawn the outside post in 7-horse fields 3 times in a row. Now he's drawn right in the middle of the pack with speed on the inside and outside of him. So it's a different sort of situation for Moplex, and I'm just not confident he can overcome it while running a faster race going a longer distance.
The number 5 Uncaged was a debut winner on August the 3rd at Saratoga. It was on a muddy track that day, going 6 furlongs. I really like the effort though, David. He was 4th. He was sitting 2 lengths off inside. He got a really nice setup. He angled around to the 4 path. So I thought the trip was good. What I was the most impressed with was how he separated late. That's what I really liked in this race. And looking at the pedigree, the Dam was a 4-time winner, and all of those wins came at a mile or above, won the grade 3 Delaware Oaks. So I think this trip will be really nice for Uncaged. How do you think this horse could stack up here?
Yeah, this performance was overshadowed on August 3rd by Ferocious, who won the other division of this same maiden special weight race. And I think people kind of forgot about Uncaged, but he would have gotten a lot of buzz out of that race if not for Ferocious competing on the same card based on the way that he ran. And as you said, the fact that he is supposed to improve with added distance, being by Curlin with that route pedigree on the Dam side. And I like that he was not so far off the pace in the early stages. He was stalking a pace that was pretty honest and really did fall apart behind him. And he just kept on and did not let the closers get to him at the finish. The 3rd place finisher, Class Assist, came back and improved by 3 Beyer points, finishing 3rd and 82 in his next start. So I think it was a legitimate number. Irad Ortiz, who rode him on debut, does wind up on the other top puncher trainee, Tip Top Thomas. So make of that what you will. But Uncaged seems like one who has the potential to improve going a mile.
Another debut winner was Vekoma Rides, who won on September 14th at Belmont at the Big A. Was in the 4 path early on, just off the lead, moved up to 3 deep, was always traveling well, was always within about a length, and just kind of kept in the clear, opened up. That was only a few weeks ago, so comes back pretty quickly, but a visually impressive effort from Vekoma Rides that day.
Yeah, I think this horse is pretty good. He traveled like a winner every step of the way on debut, and you could see Kendrick Carmouche, he's just standing up in the irons for the final 16th of a mile. This horse did not have to empty the well to win this race. So the fact that he's coming back in only 3 weeks, I don't think is that much of a negative because he clearly wasn't all out on debut. But it's still asking a lot for him to step up in class like this. He got such a perfect trip, just perched outside of the other speeds that day. Didn't have to take any dirt or rate or anything like that. So it could be a different kind of scenario for him. I do think there's real talent here. We'll see how far he wants to go.
Smoke 'em Wicked next up, grade 2 placed. He is on the improve. He showed speed in the hopeful last time out and faded to 4th behind Chancellor McPatrick. Flew early, opened up a length, got pressed by Mentee, put that rival away, but could not hold off the late runners. And he did sort of win the battle of the speeds that day because it was horses from off the pace that were all able to come in and get by him a little bit late. So maybe a horse who can flash some speed and can try to hang around for a slice. What do you think about Smoke 'em Wickham? Smoke 'em
Yeah.
Wicked.
I thought he ran great in the hopeful. I mean, as you said, there was other speed pressuring him every step of the way. He kind of outbroke the field, and I like that Ricardo Santana went with it and rode him aggressively every step of the way, and he put away those horses that were chasing him, and the race just kind of came apart at the end as Chancellor McPatrick ran by him. But Smoke and Wicked ran maybe the 3rd best race behind the top 2 that day. I wonder if added distance is really going to work for him, because when you watch him run, he's got so much natural speed, and he used it last time. I don't think he's a horse that needs to be on the front end, but I still wonder if he's going to get better going an extra furlong.
Well, next up is Colonel Bob. We have producer Bobby. I guess that's a little bit different, but shout out to Bobby, who's been producing all of our videos today. Colonel Bob was a winner at Parks on August the 20th. Lots of winning siblings at a mile. I think 5 or 6 horses that have won going a little bit longer. So pedigree says this horse can get a little bit more distance. Just how good is he, right, against this type of a group coming over from Parks?
Yeah, I respect shippers from trainer Butch Reed, who does very well on the Naira circuit, especially coming in with stakes horses. This one just seems like he'd really have to improve. I like that he won going the 7 furlong, so he only has to stretch out an extra furlong in here, but didn't feel like he was necessarily beating much on debut at Parks, and this is just a much tougher assignment.
I thought the debut win for Executive Order was pretty good. Had a fast start, tracked from third, sat just off, always traveling very well in there. Earned a nice 78 buyer speed figure for that win, which was by 7+ lengths. So not a whole lot to knock on that debut. Can he step forward, David, and be competitive with this group?
Yeah, I'll redboard this one a little bit. I could not believe this horse went off at 5-1 on debut based on the way he was working. It just looked like the kind of horse that was working in a fashion that he almost had to win his debut race. They bet a Todd Pletcher horse in there, and this one's price just drifted up. But that was just a restricted race. He is a horse who is a Maryland bred, actually, and got some good pedigree on the dam side, but it's mostly sprint pedigree. His dam was a really hardy, very good sprinting type, and I wonder if this Son of Unified is going to get better with added distance. There's some talent with him, as there are with a lot of horses in this field. He just has to get a little faster.
Rounding out the field is the horse to beat, the Grade 1 winner, Chancellor McPatrick, who won the Hopeful. So in his debut, he got shuffled back a little bit. He was last of 10, almost 10 lengths off. He asked to angle around. He responded. So I wasn't quite sure what his running style was, but then in that last start, the most recent race in the Hopeful, he really was outrun a little bit early on. He was back to 8th of 9. Again, though, he angles out widest of all, and he really mows them down, and he's even geared down a little bit late here in winning.
Yeah, he's had issues early in his races. You said what happened on debut, and then last time out, he did, kind of hit the gate a little bit. I think Flavian Pride even briefly lost an iron and seamlessly got it back in. So, I mean, there were some things that maybe cost him a little bit of momentum at the start of that race, but that's still just his running style. He drops back, he makes that big run past everybody in the stretch. It worked in those sprints with fast paces at Saratoga, and they're supposed to be pacing this Champagne. We'll see if he's able to fall that far back and still be successful going the mile. He's not supposed to have trouble getting the added distance, but you're going to take a pretty short price on a horse whose form is now exposed, and we'll see if he's got another step forward in him and if he really needs a step forward to beat this field.
Well, David, let's take a look at selections. How are you going to approach the Champagne? Who are you going to put on top in here?
Yeah, I think we're in agreement in this one. I think we both liked what we saw in that debut race for Uncaged. It's taken them a little while to get back to the races, but this was probably always the target after making that first start of winning, going 6 furlongs 2 months ago. They skipped the Hopeful, are running in this race, and I think the mile's going to work for him, and I think he has the tactical speed to get the jump on Chancellor McPatrick and sit a pretty good trip from a stalking position.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Not necessarily having to be as far out of it, being a little bit more professional, and not having as many kind of mistakes early in races that we've seen from Chancellor McPatrick, where he's kind of hurt himself a little bit and given himself a lot to do. And I think sometimes you're going to kind of finally run into a group where that's just too much to do sometimes. We both have Chancellor McPatrick in the 2nd spot. I'll put the 9 and the 2 in the 3rd and 4th spots. David will go 5, 10, 2, 6. So on a big day out at Belmont at the Big A Saturday, we wish you the best of luck in race number 8.
Hey friends, you look like you're in need of a winner. If you enjoyed the great content right here, just click and subscribe right here and enjoy the great DRF.com race of the days, the phenomenal stakes previews, and so much more. Many of that content featuring me and my exceptional selections. Trust me, you won't regret it.